unites so many of us, various organizations in the Jewish community, is this effort to engage the next generation. I'd like to introduce our speaker for this session, Adam Simon, who is with the Schusterman Family Foundation in DC. Join me in welcoming Adam Simon.
Thank you. I want to present to you a very, very different model than what you may expect when you think of Jewish life. For some of you, this is going to be obvious because you live it or you breathe it. For some of you, it's going to be completely counterintuitive to anything that you may have thought before. I'm not saying it's necessarily right. What I am saying is it's what I observe. The Judaism that has sustained, the model of Judaism that has worked, doesn't fit into the box of how those young people today engage with the world around them. This isn't about creating as many in little teeny one-person Jewish lives as possible, right? Where it's them and their friends and that's it. This is about something bigger. It's just the definition and how we think about it is in a different way. We do need a community, but we also know that that concept of an institution, it's just not working. It's not working for people. That argument of trust us as the institution, we're going to take care of you, we've taken care of your parents, we've taken care of your grandparents, we've taken care of your siblings, we're going to take care of you too, that argument doesn't resonate. What do you spend money on? What does your building look like? What do your brochures look like? What does your website look like? Who is your ambassadors? Who's crafting your message? All of those have a very different definition if my goal is activate the most exciting, vibrant, diverse, messy Jewish life that I possibly can. And that's what resonates with young families. Right? At the end of the day, we want Jewish families. That's what we want. We want people making Jewish decisions. We want people when they confront a tough situation to think about Jewish life. We want when somebody gets married, when they have kids, when they lose a job, when they want a job. All of these tough things, we want them relying on thinking about Judaism as a piece of their answer to that problem. That is what we want. That is really, really scary and hard to manage. I believe that we can't afford to continue to play the game of you're in or you're out, and the goal is to get as many people in as possible. So you have a limited amount of time in your engagement portfolio. You can meet 5 people. The normal approach would be you meet the 5 people that are closest, right? You meet one, and then you introduce your friends, and that's the 5 people that you meet. That's Judaism today, the way we usually do things. Okay? What if instead of that, you meet these 5 people? Still 5 people, still all connected to each other, the same way those 5 people are connected to each other, but what do? They're connected to others. Technology is not a better way to push information out. It is that, but if that's all it is, then we've completely missed the boat. What technology enables us to do is that asynchronous, two-way communication. Asynchronous meaning not at the same time, two-way meaning I talk and I listen. Because what I do know is that when peers ask peers, it tends to work. Now they have to ask in a very different way. A group of my friends, all Jews, 30 Jews yesterday shaved their heads. Okay? 30 Jewish guys who are mostly corporate lawyers and bigwigs in government and whatnot in DC, they all shave their heads. Why? To raise money for a bone marrow treatment facility that happens to be near where we live. Okay? We've all been solicited by this organization countless times. Nobody has given anything, or maybe it's a token. But when one guy says, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm going to shave my head. Who's with me? So what did our synagogue do? Brilliant. Most of those guys were members of my synagogue. Not all of them. The synagogue said, you guys need a place to shave. Why don't you do it here? And my guy's like, yeah, that's great. So the shaving happened at our synagogue yesterday. And not only that, the preschool said, hey, look, there's a whole bunch of, all these people have kids, and all these kids. And so the preschool sent out activities for the kids. Not come to the preschool, and not all those kids go to the preschool. But the preschool stepped up and said, oh look, here's an opportunity. And so they created activities for the kids. And what do you know? You took a moment of one guy saying, all right, I'm going to do it, I'm going to shave my head, peer-to-peer, and the synagogue had an amazing tzedakah moment. By starting with the individual and their network, and then the synagogue supporting them on the back end, it worked. Coordination is more expensive than planning. Person-to-person engagement is harder than mass engagement. Wholesale is easier than retail. If we think about it in the way of, well, 1A, paragraph. Get it, validate. Point 2. If we don't figure out how to do retail, if we don't figure out how to do this in the Jewish world, I think we're lost. I think this is the greatest challenge to the Jewish people today in North America, is our inability to figure out how to do this yet. Point number 3, we actually can. And besides the fact there's examples like 6 to 9 others, because of networks, we know all these people. And if we use our networks effectively, remember that those 5 red dots versus the 5 green dots? Same amount of allocation of resources on the part of the Jewish institution to reach those 5 people, with completely different results in terms of number of tushies that we get at the end of the day. So I'm excited to keep on this conversation with you, and I really appreciate your attention and engagement with me.